Bienvenidos to Despierta Boricua Pro Libertad's video podcast on YouTube. I'm your host, Ben Ramos of the Pro Libertad Freedom Campaign, and about once a month I'll be bringing you an update on news, culture, and politics from La Isla de Puerto Rico throughout the Puerto Rican diaspora. On today's segment, I'll be speaking with Sonia Santiago of Madres Contra la Guerra. We'll be talking about the remilitarization of Puerto Rico, solidarity with Palestine, with Cuba, with Venezuela. A lot of wonderful topics that are taking place right now in Puerto Rico. So welcome to Despierta Boricua, Sonia.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation. This is the second time I'm with you guys, and I feel very happy to do so.
Gracias, gracias. It's wonderful to see you. I know you've been very busy.
Yes.
Let's remind our listening audience, what is Madres Contra la Guerra?
Well, Madres Contra la Guerra is a community-based organization. It's a not-for-profit organization that we founded in the year 2003 while my son Gabriel was fighting in Iraq with U.S. forces. He had been unemployed for more than 6 months, and he believed those lies that the military recruiters say. You're going to see the world, we are going to save the world, etc. And so he signed up. I remember he signed up and he told me just the day before he was leaving that he had signed up because he knew that I wasn't going to be happy with it. So anyway, we decided to form Madres Contra la Guerra for three main reasons at that time. One, to alert other youngsters not to sign up for the military because you do it voluntarily. Although, only the poor people sign up. The rich do not sign up. Let's be clear. This is a class system within the military. Anyway, we wanted to alert other youngsters not to sign up. Second, we knew that upon their return, they would be facing very serious ills, both physical and mental health problems. And indeed, unfortunately, I was right. So we assist the military men and women upon their return to seek the services that they're supposed to get. We only have one hospital in Puerto Rico to serve all the veterans from Puerto Rico and also the Caribbean. And indeed, it is not called Puerto Rican VA Hospital. It's called Caribbean VA Hospital. So resources are very scarce because even though $901 billion a year is costing the Department of War, now very little of it goes directly to the services to render for the veterans. And on the third mission, we assist those that are already in the military, men and women, to request to become conscientious objectors. That is their right. It is nothing illegal. If for ethical reasons, religious reasons, they want to get out of the military, there is a procedure, there's a protocol. It's kind of cumbersome, but we can assist them. And we also oppose torture. We oppose the death penalty. We oppose genocide. And we are trying to get a better world to live in peacefully.
Sonia, before we talk about the militarization in Puerto Rico, I love Madres Contra la Guerra. I love the TikToks and all the social media. What has Madres been doing, especially around Palestine, that I think is extraordinary? Tell our listening audience what's been happening that Madres has been doing for so long.
Well, we see that Palestina and Puerto Rico are very similar in many ways. We're both colonies. Israel is the metropolis. The U.S. is the metropolis of Puerto Rico. Israel wants to obtain the oil and the gas that is abundant in Palestine. And the U.S. is using Puerto Rico, our resources, our human resources, our land, our air, our soil, our sea, for their purposes. And they've been doing it ever since 1898 when they invaded us. So, anyways, that's a little background of what we did. Was as soon as we saw what was happening, we had our first picket line in front of the Israel consulate in Avenida Ponce de Leon 221 in Atorrey. That was on the 31st of October of the year 2023. So far, we have had 111 picket pickets in front of that consulate. It's been very, very well attended. There is a lot of love and a lot of commitment. A lot of people are showing up. And it's interesting because at this point, we're having people that come from Europe to visit Puerto Rico. And we even had a guy from Finland because he saw it in social media. He was visiting Puerto Rico and he showed up. And a lot of people from the diaspora, a lot of Puerto Ricans from the United States and other parts of the world know that rain or shine will be there every Tuesday at 4 p.m. in front of the Israel consulate.
Sonia, that is so true. And I say that because you're talking about the diaspora. Here in New York, anytime we know comrades or people that we know that are going to Puerto Rico, there is always in the agenda, voy a estar el martes a las 4 con madres. It's almost becoming a thing of like, it's a part of everybody's itinerary. Even if they're going to Puerto Rico a ver familia, to see family, to do other things, everyone has it in their schedule. We're going to be with Madres contra la Guerra at 4 o'clock. So I find that funny because it's becoming about a part of everybody's their itinerary, their schedule. If you're going to go to PR, you are going to go to the Madres contra la Guerra picket. So I just wanted to, and folks, listening audience, the social media, they put it on TikTok, they put it on Instagram, it's on Facebook. The pickets are amazing. I love watching it. Una vitamina. It is a way of just reinvigorating yourself.
Last week, we had the visit of Al Jazeera news people, and they already broadcasted it in Arab. And I have a Palestinian person, a comrade that comes every Tuesday. And I said, Mohammed, please translate it for us. And he was very happy to translate it. And basically, I wore a kufiya in my hair so that I wouldn't offend the Muslim brothers and sisters. And basically, it's solidarity. It is very simple. It's nothing out of the ordinary. If you have principles, you have beliefs, you have love in your heart, you have to get out of your comfort zone and just share with your commitment and your principles. Everywhere we go, we wear a little pin that says Palestine or our kofia, and we talk about Palestina in the pharmacy, in the supermarket. I don't care. We are for Palestina. Our love for Palestina is unconditional.
Oh, wonderful. Now we're going to pivot a little bit, Sonia. Puerto Rico's being remilitarized. I mean, so much of the work of Madres contra la Guerra has to do with the military recruitment. And right now, in the last year, it has been scary what people from the island and people from the diaspora that have gone to the island have seen. So, Sonia, tell us, what is it that we're seeing? What have you observed? What's happening? What is going on with this military presence in Puerto Rico?
Okay, so I want to clarify. I don't call it remilitarization with respect, Benjamin, because we've been militarized ever since they landed in 1898. They've been there, more or less, but they've been there. And they have military installations throughout the island. So far, we have had 8 manifestations, 8 picket lines in front of bases and different military installations. And our next one, I have to announce it, it's on the 17th of January at Muniz Air Base. So what is happening? Okay, we see that at least 10,000 soldiers from all of the armed forces divisions are activated in Puerto Rico. It just happened that the manifestation, the picket line that we had, the rally at Camp Santiago, uh, about a couple of weeks ago, while we were there, huge military buses carrying 800 Marines went through the gate. But guess what? We had already closed half of the gate. We have been able to close all the gate at Fort Allen and also at Muniz Air Base. In the other ones, Buchanan, etc., we were able to close about half of the gates. But anyway, it is a very strong commitment. So what we saw is that they are coming here with these lies that this administration is telling them that, Venezuela is the culprit for the U.S. Drug abuse problem. But we tell people what Trump is saying is that they have been unable or unwilling to close the frontiers so that the drugs don't come in. And so they're blaming one single country. As a mother of a son who told me, Mom, I'm going to Iraq to save the world from weapons. Remember? Mass
Mm-hmm.
weapons? And that was a lie. And while they were there, Congress ordained a uh, an investigation, and they found that the factory was a baby formula factory. There were not weapons of mass destruction. What does Venezuela and Iraq have in common? Oil. Simple equation, oil. So we know that these lies are being told, and we saw Pete Hegseth, Pete, I'm really difficult to say, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, telling a bunch of Marines in one of their war boats, ships, that they were going to Venezuela to save the American youth of the usage of drugs. That is a lie. I'm sure it is. Anyway, so I think it is absolutely important that we tell the world that we do not want military bases in Puerto Rico. Those bases are contaminated. I just wrote a book and it's being at the editorial. I hope it will be published next week. Hopefully, God permit. But in that book, I did a lot of research, and there are over 700 military bases in the world that are totally contaminated. So, what we have been doing is searching even materials that are published by their own agencies, by the military, about what is going on in Puerto Rico at those bases. And guess what? There's metales pesados, how do you say it?
Heavy
Heavy
metals.
metals. Okay, there are heavy metals. It's mercury, chrome, and lead, a lot of it. And also, what they use as to incendiary devices, to, that is very toxic, and those solvents go into the land and into the water. And so, for instance, I can tell you that we discovered an EPA published article that in Ceiba, for instance, what they call Roosevelt roads, which are the roads of our people, those are not Roosevelt roads. Those are 2,400 acres that they stole from Puerto Rico. Anyway, that land is totally contaminated, and even there is an aquifero. I don't know how to say it. Wetland in that area called Ensenada Honda, which is also contaminated. And people don't talk about it. People don't even know about this. So what Mothers Against the War is doing, Madres contra la Guerra, is uh, searching their own publications and also EPAs and just letting people know about it.
the contradictions. It's amazing how the U.S. government and U.S. military will put out these studies and say what we are doing is detrimental to the people. I mean, we saw that in the Vieques struggle for years. The military knew that they were contaminating the area. They knew that they were using depleted uranium and that it was dangerous to have people around there. It is incredible, the contradiction. They know they're causing this damage. They know that colonialism is creating these horrendous, environmental damage to the island, yet it continues to happen. And then they'll deny it when it gets brought up to them. We're like, your own study that you did says that you're contaminating. So when you start denying it, you know it's a lie. That is incredible, Sonia, just to hear that. And yes, thank you, Sonia, for re-educating us that yes, it is not a remilitarization. The military has never left Puerto Rico. What it is it's an escalation. Eso es lo que es verdad.
That's the word. Very good. That's the word in English. Here I call it reactivación, which is like they're activating it again. It's the same thing. Thank you for telling me the word in English. So we are helping each other.
Qué bueno. This seems so much. And I'm glad you brought up Venezuela because I feel, Sonia, Puerto Rico is being prepared to be a launching to further imperialism in Venezuela and Cuba, because right now the blockade is being strengthened. And I wanted to hear your perspective. I know you talked about it already, about how, Jennifer Gonzalez and Trump are saying that all the narco trafficking in the world is happening from Venezuela. But talk a little bit more about it, and what is the response? What's happening in Puerto Rico?
Okay, couple of things. First of all, to our shame, Puerto Rico has in the past been used as a trampoline to invade other countries. Let's take the case of Guatemala. In 1954, there was a democratically elected president, Jacobo Arbenz. He wanted to make agrarian reform. The United Fruit Company in Guatemala had over 50% of the land, so they didn't want the agrarian reform. And so from Puerto Rico, they invaded Guatemala and they deposed Jacobo Arbenz. Afterwards, Guatemala has had a lot of dictatorships, etc. From Puerto Rico, they invaded the Dominican Republic in 1965. From Puerto Rico, they went to Panama in 1989 to depose Manuel Antonio Noriega. And Granada in 1983. What I'm telling you is that these were not blood free. These were very, very cruel things. And over 4,000 people, for instance, died in Panama. So what we are seeing is that the Puerto Rican soil, land, and sea has been used, and they want to continue to use it to invade other countries. How dare they? How dare they? They use Vieques to store live munitions, and we learned it a couple of weeks ago that they have been using Vieques as a storage for their munitions since January 13 of this year, and we learned about it about a month ago. So that they control it, and also how dare they close the airspace between Ceiba and Vieques. And when they announced it, my husband and I were talking about it, and I said, "Why? Why?" Well, because they're using Vieques to reload munitions. How dare they kill people in their boats without due judicial process? They're killing people. You don't know if these people are innocent. And even if they were guilty, there's no judicial process. So, this administration, I tell you, this is very, very wrong. And we oppose it with our heart. And we have to go to the streets. The diaspora has a lot of responsibility to help out and to denounce these things and to just let people know that Puerto Rico is struggling to survive.
Sonia, one of the articles that I read recently in El Nuevo Dia said that a lot of a lot of people in Puerto Rico are welcoming this re-escalation. That they're saying that the military is going to come and reopen bases that we fought so hard to close because they're going to bring jobs and they're going to bring resources. Y la cosa tan mala en Puerto Rico that the military is going to come and they're going to be superheroes. What do you say to that?
I know that you alluded it earlier, but it's one of those topics that really pains my heart because it comes from ignorance. Let me tell you, in Spain, the United States has two military bases. For each of those bases, they pay over a billion euros. How much do they pay in Puerto Rico? Nil, zero, and they have been using it. I think they paid like 5 million to reopen Ceiba. It's a token, you know. But let me clarify: even if they were willing to pay, we don't want them. But the people of Puerto Rico, they say, many of them, that ever since the military bases closed, Ceiba has lost jobs, etc. But there is a study by a group of economists by Jose Caraballo Cueto from the University of Puerto Rico. I can share that with whoever asks me. I have the report. It's a very controlled scientific economic study that proves otherwise. So that is a lie. Of course, you can see military men and women in the streets, maybe buying what? Coca Cola? I don't care. We don't want their business. It's dirty business. We don't want them.
So, Sonia, the military isn't going to make Puerto Rico perfect and a paradise. Because they keep saying it in the news that the military presence is going to save Puerto Rico. Is it or is it not?
Well, I don't think it is going to happen. Based in past economic studies by this group of economists. But furthermore, let me clarify something. It is true that in the year about 20 years ago, several of the military installations, part of their land was ceded back. They gave it back to the Puerto Rican government. But guess what? The Puerto Rican government is just part of the system. They never wanted to really make it happen, to make it prosperous, to build economic establishments. They let it go. And the other thing that I want to clarify is that before the Puerto Rican people do anything with those lands, it has to be cleaned up. And we're not talking about toothbrush. We need to clean up military bases thoroughly, and it takes years. So, military people in Puerto Rico are not welcome. Well, if they come as tourists, fantastic. Go back to your country. But no, we don't want the military bases here, period.
And I love how you said that because how long has it been since the Navy pulled out of Vieques and the decontamination process has barely begun? We're already looking at over 21 years of us as a people with our allies getting the most powerful Navy off of the island. Well, not completely off, but to stop the military practices, and the decontamination has barely begun. And it's powerful to hear that these military bases, without besides the fact that they're going to be used for oppression around the world, are contaminated and are causing environmental damage. The U.S. government has created so much environmental damage in Puerto Rico. Colonialism, one of the legacies of U.S. colonialism has been the destruction of our island on a very ecological, environmental level. I'm so glad you brought that up, Sonia. That's something I want to keep exploring that in the podcast. I think it's really important.
Benjamin, the other thing that I want to point out is that these bases use a lot of water, potable water, and sometimes communities around the bases have either no water or el agua se va. for days on end, because the military is using it without paying. They don't pay for the use of our water. This is important. We need to say all this military. The other thing I think is important that I mentioned the fact that the military uh, airplanes are very, very dangerous. We have seen in Puerto Rico V-22 Osprey from Boeing. That is a huge airplane that carries weapons and vehicles and personnel. And it had been landed because in the air, some of the units had caught fire and they had crashed and killed the tripulation and well as the people on land. And that happened in Japan. In Japan, they don't allow the V-22 Osprey. Guess what? They were decommissioned to be back in the air in Puerto Rico. How dare they? So it is very, very difficult for the our marine land also. All the animals, the mammals like manatees, and all the animals are being affected by this. Our air, our land, our soil is being contaminated, not just because of the toxic waste, but also it interrupts the turtles in their process of laying the eggs, and also the all the animals in the air. So it is terrible.
So, folks, look, it's such a complicated yet at the same time simple thing. The U.S. presence in Puerto Rico, environmental damage, damage to flora and fauna, damage to our people, and Puerto Rico will not be used as a staging ground for further imperialism into Latin America. That's what Trump wants to turn Puerto Rico into this like Pearl Harbor of the Caribbean, Latin America, and South America to keep tabs. Because the more we talk about it, the more we're finding out that it's not just Venezuela and Cuba. They're keeping their tabs on Haiti. They're focusing on Brazil, any of the ALBA countries, any of the progressive governments in Latin America. Puerto Rico is going to be this. If Trump has his way, Puerto Rico will be this very powerful, like bastion of imperialism throughout North America. This is going to be Monroe's Doctrine with the Trump corollary, and it's absolutely terrifying. But thank you so much to Sonia. Sonia, how can our listening audience follow all the work that, because Madres contra la Guerra, Palestine, Venezuela, Cuba, Madres contra la Guerra is doing amazing work, internationalism throughout the island, and it's incredible. How do we follow? Where do we find you?
With all my heart, thank you so much for this opportunity. Follow us on social media. Let people know about our work, and the solidarity is needed. So keep up. The people united will never be defeated. Remember, we are in TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and we have our blog, Madres contra la Guerra, blogspot.com. It is, just look for us. And also, if you want to help out, we have a PayPal, uh, Tamara Oyola at Venmo or PayPal. Just state Madres contra la Guerra.
So, folks, listen up. Madres contra la Guerra. She said it. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. There's a wonderful blog. And of course, one of the things we do in the diaspora is we support financially, because Madres contra la Guerra does what they do with the money out of their pockets. These are working class people doing this work, and they buy the supplies, they make the flyers, they do everything with the money that comes out of their pockets, because they are all workers.
The system here is very expensive. One of those tumpacocos, they charge you about $300 an hour. So, I don't care. We're committed to let the people know that it is very bad in Puerto Rico, and the people need to be educated with love and patience. We did it in Vieques, non-violently. So peacefully, we'll also get them out of Puerto Rico.
Absolutely. So, familia, this has been your December edition of Despierta Boricua. So many thanks to Sonia for speaking with us today, raising our consciousness. Let's start the new year with a lot of solidarity. And if you're going to Puerto Rico in any period of time, you have to go to Alto Rey, 4 o'clock every Tuesday. You can join Madres contra la Guerra, meet Sonia, meet all the comrades that are there on a weekly basis, being in solidarity with Palestine. Thank you to our listening audience. Thank you, folks. We're going to do the YouTube commercial. Please subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications so that you can catch our next segment. Go ahead, Sonia.
No, I was going to say that, remember, Jesus was born in Belém, so he's Palestino.
All right, that's right. That's right. So thank you so much, Sonia. Que viva Puerto Rico libre.
Libre. Eso.